y'all, welcome to Robyn on the Farm. Today I'm going to be making a Dutch oven peasant bread. This is a fantastic bread to know how to make because it only has 4 ingredients. And one of those ingredients is water, so basically it's like a 3-ingredient bread. It's so easy. I also think that this is one of the very cheapest breads that you can make. So I think that's pretty important to know during these times that you can make a really good, simple, basic bread for very, very cheap. All of the ingredients are flour, a little bit of salt, and a tiny bit of yeast and some water. So that's it. That's all you need to know to make this bread. This is a good crusty bread, so I really like this bread for going along with soups or salads. I make it and my family just eats it all in one sitting. So let's just go ahead and get started. It's super easy. It's a great bread to know how to make. So to get started, I am going to use 3 cups of flour. This is my bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour, or you can use like a mix of whole wheat flour, half and half, whatever you want to use. So 3 cups of flour. Now you want 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to do like a little bit of a heaping teaspoon because I like it with a lot of salt in this one. Because there's not much more flavor. There's no eggs, there's no butter, there's no oil. So it can be kind of bland, but use enough salt and it'll be perfect. Okay, now to that you need some yeast. This is my active dry yeast. I just store it in the freezer. I just get it out right in time to make bread and it'll stay good forever. So you want a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. You can use active dry yeast, instant yeast, whatever you want to use. Okay, now I'm going to whisk these up real quick just so these 3 ingredients are kind of incorporated all together. Get that yeast and the salt and the flour whisked up. And now I'm going to add my water. Now this is 1½ cups of hot water. It's about 105 to 110 degrees. I just turn my tap all the way to hot and let it run for a minute and then it's perfect. So hot water, 1.5 cups. Just pour that in there. Now, this is what makes this bread so easy. You don't need a stand mixer. You don't need to knead it for a long time. All we're going to do is mix it up. Okay, so we're going to mix these 4 ingredients up. Just use a rubber spatula, a wooden spoon, whatever you want to use. And you're just going to kind of get all of the ingredients incorporated. See that? This is going to be a shaggy dough. It's not going to be a smooth, elastic, stretchy dough like we look for when we're kneading dough. We just want this to be super shaggy and just together. Just want it to not have any like dry patches or anything like that. So let's see, mine's looking good. Just gonna mix it for another minute, make sure I have all the flour off the bottom of my bowl. Yep. Okay, so that's it. There's no like set amount of times you need to beat this up or anything like that. You just want to get it all incorporated and that's what it should look like. Just a nice shaggy dough. Okay, so now I'm going to take some saran wrap, some plastic wrap, and I'm going to cover it. Now I'm going to cover it with this instead of a wet tea towel like I normally do because I am going to leave this on the counter and I don't want to let it dry out. I can leave this on the counter from anywhere from 2 hours to I've gone as long as 10 hours. So this is a great bread to make early in the morning and let it sit and rise and then be able to bake it right in time for dinner. The reason we let it sit for so long is that this is what is going to activate our yeast. This one isn't all about kneading and getting the gluten developed or anything like that. It just needs time to rise and let that yeast to start activating. So that's what's different about this bread. This is a good old peasant bread, super simple, very few ingredients. I'm just gonna let it sit on my counter and I will show you the next step at the end of the 3 hours is to shape it into a loaf. So I'll show that to you when we get there. Okay, it has been about 3 hours and I am ready to look at the dough. Let's check this out. Look at that. Look how good it looks. It rose really, really well. It pretty much doubled in size and I can see all the little air bubbles and things like that in it. So now it's time for the next step. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a little bit of flour and I'm gonna put it on the counter. Make sure your counter's nice and clean. So I'm gonna put a little flour to spread it out on the countertop. There we go. It's maybe a little too much flour, but it'll be fine. For this dough, I'm not gonna punch it down like I normally do. I'm just gonna turn it out onto the counter really lightly. This isn't dough that you want to knead, so I'm not gonna knead it. I'm just gonna turn it out onto the counter. Use a spatula or something and just kind of get it on out of there. It will deflate and things like that. I mean, it's fine, but this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, you can use the spatula. You can kind of start turning it in on itself with just a spatula if that's what you have. I'm gonna use my dough cutting tool, and I am just gonna kind of pull this in on itself. I'm gonna kind of let it turn over, turn over, turn over. And this is why you want a lot of flour on your countertop, because it will stick really bad if you don't. But I'm just kind of shaping this loaf. I'm gonna turn it into a nice round loaf. You can do like a rectangular one, a cylinder shape, whatever you want, but I like this loaf to be nice and round. So, let's see, just keep doing that for a minute. You just don't wanna like press it out. You don't wanna really knead it together or anything like that. You just kinda wanna shape it how you want it. So this is looking good so far. There we go, that's how I want it to look. Okay, so I've got a lot of flour on here, but it's totally fine. Okay, so do you see that my loaf now? It's nice and round, looks really good. So now I'm gonna take some parchment paper, get a good amount of parchment paper, and I'm just gonna put this loaf really gently onto the middle of this parchment paper. Okay, so it kept its shape. And it's not perfect, it's not like a perfect circle. I don't even want it to be like that. I like this loaf because it looks super rustic and really cool. So I like it like this. So now I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna put this dough into another bowl for a little bit. And that's just gonna help it keep its round shape. You really don't even have to do this, but I'm gonna put this in the bowl for a little bit. Now, I'm gonna let this rise for about 20 or 30 minutes. Now for this recipe, I am going to use a Dutch oven. I'm gonna use this cast iron Dutch oven. But if you don't have a Dutch oven, you can use so many other things. So don't avoid this bread if you don't have one of these. Now, if you have one of those really beautiful enamel ones, you can use that. You can even use something like this Corning ware. Just anything that's kind of deep and that has a lid, or you can use tin foil. I could even use this bowl because this bowl says it's oven safe. So anything that you have that's oven safe and that you can put some tin foil on or that has a top, you can use that, okay? So for me though, I have this, so I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna set my oven to 450 degrees and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there while it's preheating so that this can get nice and hot. That will be what I need for this loaf. So while my oven's preheating, I'm gonna let this loaf rise for another 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna stick it in there and I'll show it to you at that point. Okay, this is so hot. Make sure you're super careful when you get your Dutch oven out of the oven. Okay, this bread has been rising 20, 30 minutes just while my oven's been preheating. Looks great. I can tell it's been rising a little bit. It's not gonna be like a huge loaf, so don't expect it to like double in size or anything the second rise. Woo, that's hot. Okay, so now I am going to just take this and stick it in the Dutch oven just like this. Leave the parchment paper on it and put the top on. There we go. Now I'm gonna stick this back in the oven for 30 minutes at 450 degrees. And then after 30 minutes, I'm gonna take the top off and let it finish browning just for another like 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so I will show it to you when I pull it out of the oven and it's ready to eat. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so very carefully, I am going to take the lid off of this. That's looking good. I'm gonna let it bake just for a couple more minutes, kind of let it get a little brown on top. All right, our really simple, no knead, Dutch oven crusty bread is ready. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I love this bread. I love the rustic look of it. Okay, so get it out so you can see it. It's gonna be really hot, so I'm just gonna use my gloves. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? Looks so great. Let's see the bottom. Yep, it looks nice. Looks like it got done. Okay, I'm just gonna cut into this so you can see it. All right. Yes, this looks great. Like I said, this is a good crusty bread. I definitely like it fresh out of the oven, the same day that you make it. If you eat it the next day, it's not nearly as good. I do like it for like egg salad sandwiches and that kind of thing, like open face, but it's definitely not like a sandwich bread. Let's see. This is fresh out of the oven and so hot. There we go. Okay. So here it is. Doesn't that look good? You can see the crumb on it, the crust. It's just really good crusty bread. It's fantastic, smothered in butter, so good like that. This is just a really great rustic loaf. And like I said, it's so simple to make, so few ingredients. I think this is a really important bread to know how to make because you can make it in the Dutch oven, which means that you can make it over a fire, over coals. So if you were ever in an emergency situation, you would know how to make this bread already, and you could easily take what you know from making it in your kitchen and transfer it outdoors. Bread making skills are really important, and I think it's really important that we all learn them so that we know how to take really basic, simple ingredients and make food for our families. So that's one of the reasons why I really like this loaf. It is just basic bread, as basic as you can get, and you can make something really delicious out of it. If you have some butter and some jam, oh, this is gonna be a fantastic little snack. You can make a simple soup or some vegetables. Make this as your carb that'll really fill up bellies, and you'll be eating good and feeling good. So I really like this bread. I love the look of it. I love this rustic round bread. And my family's gonna enjoy this with dinner tonight. Thank you so much for being here with me on Robyn on the Farm. I will leave this really simple recipe down in the description so that you can make this. Try it out, let me know how you like it. This isn't gonna be like our beautiful loaves of white, soft, fluffy bread that has milk and eggs and all those enrichers. This is just basic, simple bread that's really important to know how to make. Try it out, let me know how you like it. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time on Robyn on the Farm.